everybody. Welcome back to Well, That's Interesting, the More Fossils and Ants, What a Day edition. Today is episode 265, New Species of Pterosaur, discovered hidden inside fossilized Puke, and Imposter queens trick worker ants into killing their own mother. My friends, if you joined us just last week, we covered the tale, no pun intended, of the first and only known fossilized scoot. Yes, for those of you who have not yet tuned into episode 264, 1, how dare you, and 2, yeah, you heard me correctly, a scoot frozen in time. For 126,000 years, to be exact. This fact alone, that a scoot, or the act in which an animal drags its hindquarters across the ground while in a sitting position, using its little front legs to pull itself forward, the fact that this can be fossilized, and for that period of time, is astonishing. But that was only the beginning. You need to hear about who that scoot belonged to and who that animal is related to today. This is one of those instances where you will not believe your eyes or your ears. And today, that may happen again. In the first half of the show, we are moving up to the other end of animals with regurgitolite. Yes, you heard me clearly once again, regurgitolite. As the first part of that god-awful word suggests, this is an archaeological term for the fossilized remains of stomach contents that have been regurgitated by an animal. And yeah, that can happen too under the right circumstances. Puke and rejected food can harden and remain for millions of years. As you can imagine, these finds can be difficult to interpret, leading to gaps in analysis. I mean, if you're a long-time listener of this show, something as straightforward as intact bones can take years of study before any conclusions can be made. But with regurgitolites, what you've got before you is basically a pile of jigsaw pieces dumped onto the floor right out of the box, requiring a sharp eye and the patience of a damn saint to figure out what in the holy hell this picture is going to look like. Case in point, an unlabeled mysterious regurgitolite housed at the Camara Cascudo Museum at the Universidade Federal do Rio Grande do Norte in Brazil, and I nailed that. There, a perplexing big old clump sat for years before finally in 2025, researchers hitched up their pants, cracked their knuckles, and said, "I'll have me some of that." We will look upon the clump the team looked upon. We will meet the team that decided that this is the challenge for them. We will pluck it apart and put it back together piece by piece until it becomes a scene. And girl, like I said, you won't believe this. They too discovered a first. I hope you like large flying dinosaurs and indigestion. Then after the break, late last year, during episode 257, how thumbnails helped rodents spread all over the world, and these queen ants produced 2 different species, an absolute first, the world gasped. Not only because we learned that 86% of rodents have thumbs, but that queens of the Iberian harvester ant are the only species that can make clones of another species. I'll say that again. This ant can make a different kind of ant. That's like if a chicken laid an egg and a parakeet popped out. Now, if you had a listen, or listened twice like some fans of the show thanks to amazement and bewilderment that she can remove her DNA from her own eggs for the cloning process to take place, I get it. It's becoming ever more apparent that the tiny ants around us are living on a completely different level. We will once again cover a plot that sounds like it came from some pulpy science fiction paperback. A parasitic queen, Tom cruises her way into the colony of another ant species, completely undetected, and finds her way into the true queen's lair. There she douses the vulnerable matriarch in a chemical that turns her workers against her. In the end, the imposter rules. Now, I have to be honest here. I saw video of this chemically induced rebellion, and I say with every fiber of my being, it's one of the most violent things I've ever seen. It makes Game of Thrones look like Sesame Street. But don't worry. I'll have screenshots for you. You won't miss a thing. We will meet not one but two species of parasitic queens who entice workers to dismember their leader, and we will meet the team that figure out how in the holy hell that these ladies do it. I won't give anything away here, but I can say it's diabolically genius. In the meantime, hi, I'm Jill Chacha, and if this is your first time listening, welcome to the flock, my innocent business goose. To begin, I'm going to need you to grab a travel buddy and pair up, because we are going on a class trip to the Camara Cascudo Museum, or the MCC for short. And best of all, you can wear your finest bikini underneath your clothes, as this is located a stone's throw away from a coastline to die for. So please, everyone, imagine South America. Thank you. Point to the landmass on the far right, to the area that kind of juts out to a single large point. Okay, that is a section of Brazil called the state of Rio Grande do Norte, and within it, a mere enticing walking distance to the beaches, is the aptly named Universidade Federal do Grande do Norte. I mean, that was perfect. Within this institution, like an educational nesting doll of equal parts beauty and information, is the MCC. Now, a few fun facts about this museum. One, it's the largest museum in the state and is considered one of the most important university museums in all of Brazil. And that's because of reason number two. Folks who believed that education and the preservation of history is kind of important, including Onofre Lopes, Luiz de Camara Cascudo, Dom Nivaldo Monte, Verissimo de Mello, and José Núñez Cabral de Carvalho, you know him. They joined forces to create a mecca for fields such as paleontology, genetics, geology, botany, zoology, anthropology, ethnography, archaeology, and linguistics, all under one roof. Since the 1970s, quote, the museum has established itself as an important space for the production and sharing of knowledge, housing various academic teaching and research projects, and serving as a platform for a dynamic and effective dialogue between the university and society, both in the field of science and education, as well as in culture, art, and leisure. End quote, from the MCC website. Well, god damn it, what can I say? At the time of me writing these notes, in mid-November of 2025, the current administration here in the United States is dismantling the Department of Education. And at the time I'm recording this, in January of 2026, we're starting a war in Venezuela and Greenland, so I'm a little jealous and angry. But I digress. We have some important business to attend to here, in the hallowed walls of the MCC. Let's rewind a few years back, shall we? It was at this time William Almeida and Aline Gilardi were doing exactly what you'd expect a group of paleontologists to be doing at the MCC. Poking around the museum's labyrinth of cataloged fossils stored and tucked away in the building's seemingly endless drawers and cabinets. As a helpful visual to grasp the scope of this place, there's a collection of 543 vertebrate fossils, which includes cranial and postcranial bones and teeth, collected from what was called the F3 Cave deposit way the fuck back in the 1960s. There's also an overwhelming number of odds and ends that were extracted from the Araripe Basin located just southwest of here. And not to brag, is not only tremendously gorgeous, thanks to its lush green mountains, it's an historical wonderland. In 2015, the entire area, composed of 940,000 acres, was designated as a UNESCO Global Geopark because it, quote, holds one of the largest deposits of fossils from the lower Cretaceous in the world due to its sedimentary composition, end quote, from UNESCO.org. That is a lot of fossils. And whenever one is dug up, it comes right here. So think of the innards of the MCC like the Costco of paleontology. It's overwhelming, and you find yourself with a cart full of stuff that you never knew you needed, and it's in massive quantities. For William and Aline, their cart was suddenly filled with this. Please drop whatever multi-pack you're holding right now and pick up your phone. Head on over to the old socials and tap on today's post. What you're going to see is a rock of sorts, and a close-up of a section of that rock. I'll give you a second. Okay, I can see your face from here. I think your reaction says, okay, I think I see it. No, actually I don't. I need a little help here. There are bones in this rock for sure, but whatever it was, it looks like it was chewed up and spit out. What is going on here? Well, if you thought that, you're exactly right, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Put a pin in food coming back up, if you will, and join me back at the MCC where William and Aline were face to face with something extraordinary. This rock is about 12 inches across, and yes, what's inside this sample is a tangled fucking mess of bones, and those visuals are all we can go on at the moment. For you see, what was known about this tiny disaster barely filled an index card. 1. It was found decades ago within a layer of sediment called the Romualdo Formation, which is part of the Araripe Basin that we just talked about. And 2, that means it most likely dates back to the early Cretaceous, some 112 million years ago. And 3, that's it. It was discovered, probably by another tired anthropologist who was like, "Not today, Satan, I don't have time for this," and it was stored, only to be labeled as probably a regurgitolite made of fish, ? After that, unfortunately, it was forgotten. Until now. This was the kind of puzzle William and Aline were looking for, and to help figure out what the hell is going on, they assembled an Avenger team of nerds, including Arvi Pegas, Tito Arilano, Borja Halgado, and Claude Santos, who would all be co-authors of the study we're pulling apart right the fuck now. The team agreed, whatever this was, 'twas no fish. Please drop whatever fish you're holding right now and head on over to those photos of the sample. Take a peek at the top left and center. Yeah, I could see how this could be mistaken for hundreds of fish bones, like ribs placed one after the other in a row, but they are extremely close together. Aline and the gang had a nagging suspicion that based on the time period of the puke and the rows of bones before them, these were no bones at all, but the teeth of a, quote, very peculiar type of stenochasmatid pterosaur, end quote, she recalled in an email to Gaeyoung Lee of Gizmodo. Now, what in the fuck is a stenochasmatid pterosaur? Don't worry, I've got you. Everyone, please imagine a duck. Thank you. Take the beak and make it longer than feels comfortable. Perfect. Now grab its head and elongate the neck until you feel just as uncomfortable. Perfect. Take the wings and make them horrendously long and thin. Beautiful. Now bend those wings at what you'd think would be the elbow, but it's not, it's the hands. Make those hands touch the ground so the limbs work like a leg. The rest of the wing sticks up into the air to be extended when this dino takes flight. And there you have it, folks, a pterosaur. And you can also check out an artist's illustration over at today's post to compare and contrast with whatever ungodly creation you made. Now, a few fun facts about Stenochasmatadae, which is a group of pterosaurs. 1, despite all the crazy shit we just imagined, they're known and categorized by their distinctive teeth, which are thought to have been used for filter feeding. So, open that beak and insert thousands of teeth that resemble baleen in a whale, and picture it eating as a flamingo does. For real. And 2, they lived from the late Jurassic to the early Cretaceous periods, a huge chunk of time, spanning 161 million to 100 million years ago. Well, with all of this, the forensic evidence of the teeth and the time frame in which the rock was found 112 million years ago, it's certainly looking like a pterosaur. The team would only need to reference these bones against other pterosaur and to do some intense analysis with tools such as an electric saw, paleo bond penetrant stabilizer, epoxy resin, and an Olympus BX53M petrographic microscope, and that would be that. Done and done, am I right? So, after all the clickety-clack calculations were made, what did the team piece together? Drumroll, please. Thank you in the back. First, let's talk about what the remains were housed in, which, thanks to the intro at the top of the show, you know was regurgitolite. The team was able to confirm indeed this was puke, And before we get into it, I can't help but tell you how the fuck it survived for that long. In an email to Gay Young Lee of Gizmodo, Aline explained, quote, very specific conditions are required for regurgitolites to survive for hundreds of millions of years. First, the vomit has to be very rapidly buried in a calm, low-energy environment, and the mucus binding the material together needs to hold up over time, otherwise they are destroyed by rain, waves, wind, or scavengers, or simply fall apart. End quote. That was probably more than you needed to know, but honestly, that's the basis of this show. Anyway, in the puke was not one, but 2 pterosaurs and 4 fish. And I'm sorry to say to those fish, no one cares because those pterosaurs are completely new to science. Yeah, the team not only discovered something in puke, but a new species of pterosaur. And this would be the first pterosaur found in the tropics as well. They hit pay dirt with this puke. Now, who are they and who ate them? Great questions. As reported by Rachel Funnell of IFL Science, since the regurgitolite was retrieved from the Romualdo Formation in the Araripe Basin, home to the Cariri people, the species was named Bakiribu waridza, from their language which translates to comb mouth. As for the company it kept, well, quote, the fish are oriented in a way that suggests the classic pescatarian eating technique of knocking back fish whole and head first to avoid injury from backward-facing spines. It appears the pterosaur may have had the last laugh in that the spatial arrangement suggests it was eaten before the fish, and its skeleton may have been mechanical discomfort that motivated the predator to vomit. End quote. So yes, my nauseous business goose, our gluttonous predator downed not 1, but 2 pterosaurs with thousands of gnarly-ass teeth and then some fish to create quite an unappetizing cocktail. So, who made this culinary faux pas? Well, all you have to do is drop your lunch and head on over to today's post. There you will see another artist's interpretation. This one being a snapshot of what I consider to be right before those 2 pterosaurs were fatally consumed. And if you're too busy eating something to take a look, no worry. I could describe this masterpiece. Imagine a lake, and on that lake are 2 Bakiribu waridza doing their filter feeding thing and completely oblivious to the chaos behind them. In the background is a flock of Barakibu taking off into the sky and escaping what looks to be something of a T-Rex if you shrink the head a little bit and elongate the arms. That is a member of the Spinosauridae family, a large bipedal theropod dinosaur known for their specialized semi-aquatic lifestyle who lived during the Cretaceous period about 145 to 66 million years ago. So right on target. With this, and quote, considering body size, feeding ecology, and existing evidence of pterosaur consumption, Spinosaurids emerge as the most plausible producers of the regurgitolite described here. End quote. The researchers noted in their paper titled, A Regurgitolite Reveals a New Filter-Feeding Pterosaur from the Santana Group. Now, if all of this feels like a serendipitous snapshot in time, you are not alone. In that interview with Gizmodo, Aline captured the feeling perfectly. Moments like this remind us why paleontology feels so magical. Extraordinary discoveries can be hiding quietly in a museum drawer, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. End quote. So the lesson here? Clean out that junk drawer. You never know what puke is in there. After the break, we're leaving Brazil for Japan, and one disturbing scene for another. As reported by James Woodford of New Scientist, around 200 species of ants are considered parasites. Some lay their eggs in other species' colonies, others steal larvae, some pull a Macbeth and physically kill the host queen themselves. But some take a more sinister approach. They make others do the dirty work for them. Sabotage, chemical warfare, and matricide are next. So stay tuned.
Kaylee Cuoco and Sam Claflin star in the MGM Plus original series, Vanished. When the man Alice loves disappears on a train to the south of France, every romantic memory becomes evidence. Every intimate detail, a potential threat. She thought she knew everything about him, but she may not even know his real name. 4-part thriller Vanished premieres February 1st on MGM+. Finding the truth is a dangerous affair.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. We are so back. And my friends, I ask, how do you pass your downtime? Do you listen to exceptional podcasts like this one? Procrastinate replying to text messages? Or do you spend hours on end watching and recording ants? Well, if you're anything like Taku Shimada of Japan, then you certainly do. So much so, you're a household name when it comes to entomologists who love ants themselves. For you see, as reported by Rebecca Zombach of the New York Times, quote, Taku is not a scientist by training, but he has spent years observing, raising, and learning about the insects. Ant researchers are familiar with his ant photography, his ant husbandry, and his tenacity in traveling the world in search of rare ant species, end quote. Taku. His work and his blog are the gifts that keep on giving for researchers obsessed with colony life. Researchers like Keizo Takasuka, an entomologist at Kyushu University in Japan who studies parasitism in spiders. In a serendipitous event, horrifying and fateful alike, during one of Keizo's deep dives down a spider hole in 2024, he came across a video recorded by Taku back in 2021. A video so violent, confusing, and appalling it actually pumped the brakes on his arachnid career and steered it in the direction of ants. Quote, I lost my words when I saw the video, he said in an interview with the New York Times. And I bet you are equal parts hesitant and curious about what he saw. Well, good news. It's not the ring. It's kind of worse because the events weren't fiction and someone really did die. Earlier in 2021, during one of Taku's literal deep dives into colonies within a mountainous region of Japan, he found an ant queen of a parasitic species called Lasius orientalis running a nest filled with workers who were definitely not Lasius orientalis. Taku believed this little discovery would yield massive results. L. orientalis is known to take over the colonies of other ant species, but it was unknown how the imposter queen accomplishes her goal. So Taku did what any one of us would do in this situation. Yoink the queen, take her back home, set up a camera without it looking creepy, introduce her to a new hive, and sit back, relax, and let nature take its course. Well, Taku had no idea what he was in for. Over the next several hours, L. orientalis found her way to the colony's true queen. She whipped her abdomen around like she was packing heat, and from the tip of that abdomen, she aimed and sprayed the queen with a substance. Afterwards, L. orientalis quickly retreated into the shadows, and within minutes, the worker ants, who are the queen's daughters, by the way, turned into unyielding soldiers. Wave after wave of them chewed at the queen, pulling her apart piece by piece. Her antenna, legs, abdomen all carried away as though she were an invader, not mother, not the queen. Now, with the throne empty, L. orientalis made a reappearance. Her size and scent recognized as and accepted by the workers as queen. She was now commander of this colony, free to lay her own eggs. These eggs would be tended to by these workers. These eggs would hatch L. orientalis larvae, who would be tended to by these workers. And when these workers die, they will be replaced by L. orientalis ants. In sum, this queen has succeeded in progressing her species, and she barely lifted a finger to do so. End of video. Keizo was silent and enraptured. He needed to find Taku, and together he believed they could determine what the fuck L. orientalis is spraying and how the fuck she can just waddle up to Queens with the unearned confidence of John Wayne. Needless to say, after reaching out, the two nerds quickly bonded and began a new experiment in the university's lab. In an email to Chris Sims of Live Science, Keizo explained that they recorded and tested not one, but two species of parasitic ant, Lasius orientalis and Lasius umbratus. Their unfortunate victims were Lasius flavus and Lasius japonicus. And the day, as you could imagine, started off violently. The experiment began with a queen being introduced to workers and cocoons to see what would happen, and the answer as to how she obtains her scent was glaringly obvious. The queens chewed on their host workers and groomed themselves with the goo that came from their bodies. So think Chanel No. 5, but made of ant blood and bits. And it was this that made them invisible. Now smothered in eau de ant, our imposter was ready for the big show. But I think I could safely say, I don't think Taku or Keizo were ready for what was about to materialize before them. Within hours, L. orientalis and umbratus were able to glide past any detection, making their way face to face with the queen of a colony. As expected, a macing took place. But afterwards, the events weren't an exact replay of the 2021 video. In one particular instance, it was way more awful. In one experiment with L. orientalis, the first spray took seconds to paint the true queen as an invader, and the worker ants took action. But here, L. orientalis didn't seem satisfied with the level of the attack. The queen was sprayed 15 times over the course of 20 hours, and every second of those hours, the queen was chased, bitten, and pulled apart. Again, don't worry though, it gets worse. The attack went on for 4 days before she was fully disemboweled. Now, when I said this was going to be bad at the top of the show, I meant it. You're probably wondering a lot of things at this point, but one of those thoughts may be a question like, Jill, Christ, what are these ants spraying, for the love of God? Well, I'm glad you asked. The answer turned out to be simple but devastating. Formic acid. According to nj.gov, this is a carboxylic acid, known for its pungent odor and corrosive nature. And it's used in various industrial applications, including leather tanning, textile dyeing, and as a preservative in animal feed. Oh, and by the way, it's naturally occurring in ant stings. So yes, these little fuckers can make this industrial chemical in their bodies. Long internal story short, ants make formic acid through a biochemical pathway in their poison glands. Yes, poison glands, primarily from the amino acid serine. Enzymes convert serine and other precursors into formic acid, which is then stored in the poison glands and can be sprayed. So it's no fucking surprise that workers suddenly confronted with a creature showered in something strong enough to make leather confused and agitated them. Now, I don't know how to end this segment other than with the comforting words of Daniel Cronauer, an evolutionary biologist at the Rockefeller University in New York who was not involved with the study, to the New York Times. Quote, "This strategy is probably more frequent than we currently know." End quote. Thank you for listening, rating, subscribing, telling your friends while they eat about fossilized puke. Yeah. And maybe one day their puke will be found 112 million years in the future. You never know. You never know. You never know what impact you can make. Then tell them about these ants and the horrible, horrible things that they do. And a bloody thanks to the folks over at Airwave Media, the podcast network to which WTI belongs. If you love this show, and you do, you'll love the other podcasts in this family. And please, stay interesting.